Hey, welcome to the Jacob Wayne Show. Today is a very special episode. This is going to be part one of me and Michael Valentine's top 10 Halloween movies. So we're going to release this one on Wednesday, as we always do, which, as you're watching, is Wednesday. And then next Wednesday, we're going to have part two. Then we're going to see, but we might have a special Halloween episode that's going to release on Halloween, but maybe the day before. We'll kind of see how it works, but that one will be off schedule. One quick announcement: Gamma Paw, my band here in Fort Collins, with Brandon Shockey and our buddy Andrew helping us out on drums. We played our first show. That was for Vindicate Foods. And that's here in Fort Collins as well. They take in food that's expired or whatever, but still edible, and helps redistribute it into the community where it's needed. It was also a clothing drive for the houseless. And so all our proceeds got donated to that, and it was awesome. We played with some really great bands. Let me see if I can remember all of them. We played with Scuffed. They did an acoustic set. Seam Ripper. The Bad Roommates, not sure if there's a "the" in there. There was the Midnight Horrors, Kristen Lyon, and Nub. I'm really sorry if I forgot one, but I'm pretty sure that's all of them. So it was great playing with everybody. I'm like second guessing. And yeah. Hopefully there's more Gamma Paw shows in the future. We loved it. It was great to finally get a Gamma Paw show. We've been working on those EPs for almost 2 years, and now is the time. We needed to get out there and actually play it live for people. So other than that, let's just get into this episode. You'll be seeing Kellen in the future. He's off on a trip, so that's another reason we're splitting this off to two parts. So here's part one of Michael Valentine's and I's top 10 Halloween movies. Welcome to the Jacob Wayne Show. With you as always is your Jacob Wayne, and rather than Kellen Gibbons this week, we have the I was going to say splendiferous, but I use that too much. The illustrious Michael Valentine. How are you today, sir?
Good. I was about to say whimsical. So
whimsical's good.
Yeah, that's what popped in my head. I guess it's a whimsical day here. So
illustriously whimsical Michael Valentine.
Be back. Speaking of whimsical, real quick, I saw they released the first picture of Timothy Chalamet as the new Willy Wonka. So I don't know if you saw that yesterday, but
I did, and kept scrolling.
Yeah.
It's not that I have any strong opinions about it. I'm just like, okay, Willy Wonka again.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, oh, here's a photo. I guess this is a prequel, and did not realize this was a movie being made. So,
well, I'm trying to not be closed-minded, but there is part of me that's like, oh yes, let's find out everything about Willy Wonka and where he came from, because mystery be damned.
Right. And then it's interesting, his he's got the new Wes Anderson movie, French Dispatch. He's got Dune coming out. How do you top Dune? Willy Wonka prequel.
He's making moves.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where you go after the Willy Wonka prequel, but I guess we'll find out.
What is the term in Dune again? I
The
almost said
term?
the Kwisatz Haderach, but I don't think that's it. He's
Man, I'm not
the
sure.
Spice Melange.
Yeah, there's the spice. I haven't read
But he's
Dune.
the one basically. It's
Yeah, this is a lapse in my sci-fi palette. I've never read Dune, so I'm not familiar
what
with Dune. I know. It's probably
you
like
should.
similar to I just saw that you never saw Young Frankenstein until recently, right? Or
Yeah, but I knew all about it, so
okay,
that's kind of why I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it eventually.
okay.
I had read Gene Wilder's autobiography, "Kiss Me Like a Stranger."
Oh, that's cool. I have to
He
check
went
that
all
out.
over it. I've seen tons of clips from it, but it's like I've never actually sat and watched the whole thing.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
so it's like it didn't, you know, if I was like, I've never seen Star Wars, and then you're like, well, man, you never seen Darth Vader, and I was like, who's he?
Yeah. All right.
That
Well,
would be
so
like,
so maybe
okay,
it's not as bad. It's worse for me because I'm like people like Dune. I'm like spice and deserts and sandworms. That's literally all I know about.
the
So
Harkonnens and
I don't know
House
anything.
Atreides, and
I know. I gotta. Should I read it? Should I do a quick read before the film or
do
just
the
wait?
audio book if you can,
Do the audiobook? Yeah.
because there is a lot of made up words and things that are
Okay.
you're like, it takes you out of the reading a little bit, at least for me. When
Okay.
I got it on audiobook, they have a voice actor, so you're like, oh, okay, so that's Baron Harkonnen,
Mm-mm.
and it kind of helps you picture it better. And then once you picture it and learn all the terms that way, then you could probably like switch to the book if you wanted.
Okay.
But I feel like it really helps establish,
Yeah.
okay, that's what that is, that's who that is better.
Cool. Is that one of your favorite sci-fi books?
I realize that I don't read a lot of sci-fi.
Okay.
I always thought maybe getting, when I was growing up, I'd be like, yeah, I'm into sci-fi a lot.
Yeah.
But I've met people that are into sci-fi now,
Like
and
that's
I'm
not me.
like, I'm into it, but like, Star Wars doesn't even technically count. It's like space fantasy or all that. I
Yeah.
can keep up in a conversation, but never got hard into Star Trek. I'm trying to watch more and more of it, but it's not
Yeah.
like I'm consuming it.
That's something the Gibbs like a lot, right? They all into Star Trek.
No,
Yeah. No, just
they're like Lord of the Rings,
oh,
probably more. And
okay.
then like some of them are into Stephen King, like me.
Okay.
But my buddy Jeff was super into Dune and always talked about it. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
well, I have to read this. And just for what it was and what it represents, the time it came out, like it should be read.
Yeah. It's always been on my list. It's just the one I always missed, read
Yeah.
most of the other classics, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll have to go read it. So anywho.
Yeah, but it's similar to anime, man. It's like I really like it and I respect it, but then people are like, oh, have you seen? No,
Yeah.
no. It's like, so what have you watched? Like basically anime movies here and there and Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. I'm
I'm
not huge into it.
I'm not great in that. I do like it. I like Miyazaki's. I like Akira, Cowboy
Mm-hmm.
Bebop, stuff like that. But I do
Yeah.
need to or Satoshi Kon, Paprika, that kind of stuff. Deep Blue or Perfect Blue, whatever it's called.
I
Anyway,
don't know
but
any of that shit.
yeah. Anyway,
But
but
that's not why we're here.
I know
Why
we're
we're
tangents.
here, and why I thought you'd be a perfect guest, is you're probably more into movies than any of my friends I can think of. And I'm very into movies. And so with my other friends, you know, I start to go off on certain things and I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm just rattling off information at them and they're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? But at least with you, you're like, oh yeah, but have you seen that? And I'm like, oh, well, no. It's more of an
Yeah,
exchange. So anyway, I had you on this episode to do our top 10 Halloween movies list.
very excited.
Yeah. Now, before we jump right in, how big are you into Halloween movies in general, or some of the genres that go along with it, like horror, supernatural? I guess it's all different versions of horror or
Yeah,
thriller, maybe.
yeah. So I love Halloween. I always say probably my favorite holiday next to St. Patrick's Day, just because I like to get drunk and be Irish.
Mhm.
But
It's a different kind of terrifying.
yeah, different different kind of terrifying. It's
Yeah.
the opposite of Halloween, in March. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I love Halloween. It's easily probably my favorite holiday. One of my favorite times of the year. I just love the whole month of October. I think it's just fantastic. Autumn is my favorite season, so everything just seems perfect in October here. In terms of Halloween movies, I'm not big into a lot of the scary stuff. Nowadays, I do like some of it, but I feel like some of it's gone downhill, and I feel like it's hard to get scared. A lot of the stuff I feel like it's just more gory. It's not really
Sure.
scary. It's just like shock value. The Hostels and the Saws, and it's like, I mean, I guess it's something to see someone's like leg get sawn in half.
Yeah, but I want to know
Realistic, but
why that's getting sawed off. What's the
right.
reasoning? What's the
Yeah,
emotion?
yeah. Some of the scariest movies I think are the more psychological stuff. I remember watching Silence of the Lambs when I was like probably 12 or 13 at my friend's house, and they just lived right around the corner from me. So literally like 1 minute to get to my house. But I
Mhm.
watched it at night, and I remember like walking home like at night, just thinking of like, oh, Hannibal Lecter's probably like right behind this car. He's like about to eat my liver or something.
Or a van pulls up, like
Yeah,
you're about a size 13.
yeah.
Like,
And
ah.
that was way more scary to me because it was realistic and based on real stuff. And I remember running home as fast as I could that day.
Mhm.
But so I like that kind of stuff, and that kind of ties in with Alfred Hitchcock, master of thrillers and things like that. And I like stuff that you have to think about and stuff that isn't you can't quite figure out why you're afraid of it, and it takes some like digging and diving into, and kind of
Sure.
presses some different buttons that just like shock and scary.
I'd agree with that. Was one we're gonna get into an element of what you just mentioned
Okay,
on
cool.
my honorable mentions list. Uh, anything else you want to say about Halloween movies in general, though?
Yeah. I think they're really awesome. I think they're a really cool genre, and I think I'd love to see more of like specifically like movies for October, and like fun things to watch during this month in general. I was really bummed because this new Batman movie was supposed to come out in October originally, and I was like, this is awesome. Watching a Batman movie on Halloween.
Yeah,
It's like the
that fits pretty well.
vampire gothic, and then
Costumes.
this new movie specifically is based off of the comic book The Long Halloween. So I was it was even more fitting, but then they pushed it back to March, and I was really bummed because I just
Now it's
want
gonna be the long Easter.
yeah, the long Easter. But
Oh my god.
yeah, I love Halloween stuff. I would love for like really top directors to just like do something fun. I love the genre movies. I think they're awesome. A lot of not so much anymore, but during Hollywood and the 60s and 70s, a lot of our tour directors will look down on genre. But I think to do genre well is like really amazing. And
Yeah, we mentioned that the last time you were on with the Birds and Alfred Hitchcock.
yeah. And to do scary stuff specifically, my favorite director right now of all time is Guillermo del Toro, and he's just a master of this genre. And I'd love to see more people do that. I'm really excited about Jordan Peele. He's been like doing a lot of cool, scary stuff and horror movies. And yeah, I love Halloween, love October. So it's perfect, perfect topic for today.
Yeah,
So.
awesome. Well, one thing I was gonna say before moving into the list was, what if the Batman movie getting bounced around all like that isn't
Yeah.
COVID? It's actually a plot by Calendar Man.
Yeah, it just keeps bouncing around.
I knew it.
Next it will like show up and like the movie's premiering in like 1997. Like what?
You'll
Like
never premiere, Batman.
yeah, I'll have to like find time travel to go back to the premiere of this rate. But
Yeah,
that's actually a great idea. They should
all
do a movie
meta.
with Calendar Man and have that part of the marketing. Just keeps annoying people.
Yeah, he doesn't show up in the movie. He's just out in the real world with us, like manipulating
Yeah.
things. Like, this fucking bastard.
Then you get out of the movie, you go to the snack bar, and Condiment King has just messed up all the hot dogs and
Uh,
the mustards.
you're like, all right, I've had it with these fucking Batman villains.
Yeah.
You're ruining everything.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right, so let's hop in here. I'm gonna run through my honorable mentions real quick.
Perfect. Very excited.
And this ties in with a bit of what you were mentioning. Is I found as I was constructing my list,
Mhm.
I was like, I love this movie, and I love this movie even more than something I put on my top 10 Halloween movies list. But it didn't quite have the Halloween vibes, you know?
Okay.
It might be scary, it might be, like violent, it might have some of the tropes that you might expect, but
Okay.
I found it's like, nah, this doesn't give me the October Halloween vibes. So I'm gonna read the list real quick, and I want to see if you can kind of picture what I'm talking about, because some of these are Halloween vibe and some aren't. They're just honorable mentions.
Cool. Sounds good.
But real quick, The Omen, Magic. That was the one we watched with Anthony Hopkins.
I forgot about that. That movie's freaking awesome.
I love it, but it couldn't make the top 10. And yeah, that's a little more psychological. Like, it's
Real quick about that movie. That was
Sure.
like the secret movie. I can't believe that existed, and I never knew about it until we
Yeah.
found it just recently. Like, it still blows my mind. We never knew that was a thing. Just awesome.
And it was directed by Mr. DNA from
yeah. Yeah.
Jurassic Park, Attenborough. I
Yeah,
always
yeah,
mix up his
Richard
name with his
Attenborough.
brother.
Yeah.
Anyway, Halloween 3, The Silence of the Lambs, which we
Right.
mentioned, Cabin in the Woods, Scream, Shaun of the Dead, Hocus Pocus, and Evil Dead. And all I'm going to say, the one I'm going to mention is Hocus Pocus was a really hard one to remove from my top 10
Yeah.
because I do watch it every October. But what I realized is I don't think the movie's like incredible. There's a lot of cheesiness to it, but it was responsible for some of my early sexual awakenings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm drawing a. I keep wanting to say Carrie from Sex and the City. What's her fucking
what's
name?
her name? She's married to Matthew Broderick.
Sarah
right?
Jessica Parker.
Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Her character in Hocus Pocus, like I was a young boy when that came out. And then she's just so like, oh, a boy, we have a boy in the house. Like, and I was just like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, why is this awesome? She's scary, but I'm like, yeah, I want to be in that house.
That's so funny.
I want to be tied up by Sarah Jessica Parker.
No,
So when
totally.
anybody ever like mocked her, I
Yeah.
was like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah. All these Gen Zers don't know the children of the 90s, all these movies. I watched
riding around on that broom singing.
I watched The Mask recently. I haven't seen
Okay.
that for like 15 years. And Cameron Diaz, and that I think was like the first crush I ever had in my whole life. And I've probably watched that movie 50 billion times. But
and you know what? She had a little more weight on her bones. She looked good.
That movie
Didn't
still
try to
held
get
up
too
too.
thin.
It was super funny. The special effects, I was kind of blown away, like that they were that good, and they still look good. So
yeah.
But Hocus Pocus is probably like the pinnacle of Halloween movies. I think everyone loves Hocus Pocus, especially people of our generation.
Did it make your list?
I forgot about it. So
all right. Fair enough. I just if something hits your list, just say like, oh well, we'll get to it. Don't reveal the number quite yet. But
no worries. I will say there's a lot of movies that like your honorable mentions, all fantastic. I probably would some of my favorite movies on there, but I kind of try to keep it to like my personal favorite Halloween one. So Hocus Pocus, I think, is like one of the greatest Halloween movies, but I put some other ones on my list instead that I like to watch. But
and that's essentially what I decided, which will inform my top 10. Is I was like, all right, what is something that I never want to turn off, and I tend to think of it specifically when October rolls around, and I'm just excited to watch it. Like some of these, I'm like, that's classic Halloween, but I know that if I threw it on, I might, I'll skip ahead, like I'm not as into it into it.
Yeah.
I'm into parts.
Yeah.
But and then other ones, it's like Shaun of the Dead, hilarious,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really give me Halloween
Halloween.
vibes.
Totally. Totally. And I
And
think that's
Silence of the
important.
Lambs, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, super creepy, and I can watch that anytime.
One of my favorite movies of
But
all
yeah,
time. It's not on my
yes,
list
I
either.
could
So,
watch it in January. Serial
yeah.
Killer January,
Yeah.
real
I think
scariness.
I think that's important to mention here because we talked a lot about Halloween in October. I think there is a very specific vibe and atmosphere of
Hmm.
what like the Halloween movie is. I think that we're alluding to. Real quick too, I'd like to shout out to the Halloween cat here, Orange Black.
Oh, I'm looking at my list. 1 second.
So anyway,
Yes.
we got the cat. Always a Halloween cat somewhere. But
Does it talk to you like an old New England boy?
it does, but
Oh,
she's a bit afraid of the Jacob Wayne, so she'll talk to me after. But
what? Okay,
I'm just
understandable.
kidding. She's
But all right. So, but you are correct. There's something about Halloween movies
right.
where it's mythological. It's it's almost like a smell in the air. A certain like the fog machines, little things like that that kind of really lean into that Halloween vibe
Yeah,
that's what it's a different kind of scary, it's other descriptive words like spooky
yeah. And
or
I
like
think
ooh
what's
creepy.
cool about that is compared to the other holidays, Christmas is probably the next big one, but no, not too many holidays have such a very unique atmosphere and themes and vibes like that that's so strong, like where you can just
Yeah,
tell like, yep, this is that thing or this isn't that thing. And I think that's one of the reasons I like Halloween so much. It's like otherworldly folk tales and like old things of like past like secrets and mysteries that may have been forgotten in different
yeah,
times and cultures and stuff, but it just feels ancient in a way, I suppose, too, and terrifying. But
yeah, definitely. And that's what I like about it. It really leans into its vibe. It's a whole mood.
yeah,
Thanksgiving, I love it, but I just love it because it's like, hey, let's get the family together and eat a
yeah.
giant meal.
And a lot of people
I'm
love
not
Christmas.
really like in a.
Yeah.
They're like, why aren't there any Thanksgiving songs? And I'm like, why don't you come up
Yeah.
with a mood first, and then I'll
Yeah.
write a song for you.
A lot of people love Christmas too, but for me, it's just like you guys are a little bit too jolly. Like, let's take it down a few notches with the happiness and cheer.
I don't know, man. I'm a cantankerous fuck, but I like Christmas. It's cozy. Just don't overdo it with like the Black Friday.
Yeah.
It's not all about I don't even do the gift thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just like the coziness. It's winter time. Get friends together, spike the
Yeah.
punch, have a good
I think
meal.
for me, the biggest difference between Christmas and Halloween, and I love Christmas movies too.
Hmm.
I
Which you're
think
going to be back on for that, by the way.
sweet. Very excited. I think the biggest thing is like Christmas. It's like I understand Christmas. Like there's nothing mysterious or like, I got it all down. But Halloween, it's always like there's something still. I come back, I'm like, I don't quite get this. I don't quite, there's like mysteries to be solved over here. And it's still like something you can't quite like grasp. And like it's very kind of draws you in, at least for me. I think it's something that I'm always pondering about
I
and
think that's a good point because
yeah.
part of what I think I'm sure it'll come up in some of these movies is that's part of what I think you were even mentioning earlier. Like you see a movie like Hostel,
Yeah,
it's disgusting, it's gross, it's scary to think about people
absolutely.
that would act like that, but it's not mysterious. It's depressing. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
But like sometimes, it's the old thing in Jaws. It's like the monster you don't see
Right.
and the mystery. It's the unknown. It's like, what? Like if something acts in an illogical way
Right.
and you're like, and you just can't put a pin in it, like how it operates or why or what it is. And
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of human psychology, like the most terrifying things to, humanity or whatever are things we don't understand, and that's why it's scarier at nighttime versus the daytime. At daytime, you can see everything. In the dark, you know, your vision's limited. you're not sure what things are. Things are changing shapes that are normally not threatening, like a lamp or something, but it looks like hostile. But it's just because you're not understanding what you're seeing. And I think it's that misunderstanding and like disconnect that is really the terrifying thing that a lot of these newer movies are missing, like the psychological aspect of it. And you can shock someone and they'll be jumped for a second, but then it's like it doesn't stay with them. Versus like something where if you can get to that understanding part of it, I think it's that unlocks a whole nother like world of like scariness and horror and things, kind of going into like Cthulhu and like body type horrors and insanity and other things like that are like you can't quite figure out. But
it's definitely it. I think that's the South Park joke, is they talking about like the jump scares in movies and stuff like that, and they have Randy, Stan's dad, for those that know, and he's like, I am so startled right now. I'm super startled, you guys. He's just like, yeah, it's startling. It's not scary or creepy. And I remember reading something once, just even something as simple as like the movement of a spider, like somewhere in our little chimp brains, we're used to like how we move and other mammals move. And then when you see a spider and the way it just crawls, it's just something like, what the fuck? Like, that isn't normal movement.
Absolutely.
And it just strikes the brain as unnatural. Or
and I think it's really like, it's interesting to see these kind of gory shock movies. They're like literally just going in the opposite direction. They need to like turn back around. But it's like 0 to 100 in 1 second versus like building up the psychological horror throughout the movie. So when you get to that top point, it's like the tension's been building forever, and then you can use that in a different way. I like what you said too with the spider, different things. I always think the things that are really scary are like ordinary stuff, kind of like the Seinfeld horror, if we will. But like the scary stuff of the ordinary. Like I always have these weird dreams.
She eats her peas one at a time.
Yeah. But like maybe like you're just brushing your teeth and all of a sudden there's blood on your toothbrush, your teeth fall out or something. It's like terrifying or something like that. It's just like ordinary, but it can be twisted in a way where it's just like the scariest thing you can imagine. And I think there's so many opportunities for something like that. But I really, that timing, I guess, is the kind of the next part of that, is like the psychological aspects of misunderstanding, and then getting into the timing of where these like scares are supposed to come for the audience, and build with the story from there. But it's fascinating.
Yeah. So
cool.
On that note, let's get into our top 10s.
Yeah. Did you want me to say my honorable mentions real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I
should get moving on the list though.
Sure. Yeah. I don't have a lot in here. I'm sure there's a lot more I could add. I have Ernest Scared Stupid, The Corpse Bride. And then there's this new movie I watched that's actually an old movie, but I've never seen it before until recently. It's called Haxen. It was 1922, I believe. Haxen is Swedish for the like witch, and kind of like the old Nosferatu. It's all about witches, and I watched it. It's in the Criterion Collection, and it was just really awesome. And I was surprised like how that it was that old, 100 years old pretty much, because it was filmed so well, and like a lot of the colors, and had all this crazy like devils and witches and things, but it was really cool. So I'm sure that will probably be on my top 10 in the future.
How do you say that title again?
Yeah, it's Haxan, Haxan, I believe, Haxan, or Swedish for witch. But
my ancestry, definitely it's a Haxan.
Yeah. That's my bad. I'm not Swedish, so I don't know. I can just only pronounce the Swedish fish. So
yes.
But check that out. I was really blown away by, again, another movie that I was surprised I never saw. I was like, this is an instant classic for me that I just really love. So those are the only three I had on my list for honorable mentions for now.
Ernest Scared Stupid. That movie scared the shit out of me when I was little.
Totally.
I didn't really think about it, and it wouldn't have made the list for me, but it is worth honorably mentioning because
It is scary as fuck.
the
It's
scene
so
with
scary.
the little boy in the bed, he looks over to the side like, nothing's there. He hears something. I can't even remember what it is, but he like rolls over to the other side and like looks under the bed. Nothing's there. Then he rolls back up and the troll's in the bed with him, like, hey.
That movie's terrifying.
Scared the piss out of me. And then just the idea of being turned into a little wooden figure and being stuck inside
Yeah.
inside a tree was really
So
creepy.
I used to be really terrified of that. Gremlins. I was also really scared of Secret of Nim, like the owl and stuff. But
Yeah.
but like I
That's
haven't
spooky.
I haven't even seen Ernest Scared Stupid since I was a kid because I think it traumatized me too much. I'll have to go back and watch it as an adult. But
We might have to watch that as a drinking game.
yeah, absolutely. That monster in it is very scary. And
Yeah.
I feel like these newer kids are baby too much. You know, we had scary stories to tell in the dark, really terrifying shit like this to watch on TV all the time. Are You Afraid
Yeah.
of the Dark on Nickelodeon was always scary. I know we need to bring that back to scare the children these days. So.
Yeah, we can discuss that in another episode because that's a long conversation for me.
Sure. Sorry.
But like
Tangents.
everything these days having this all-inclusive corporate sheen to it,
Yeah.
where it's just like your Marvel movies set up just like your Star Wars movies, set up just like your I Know What You Did Last Summer remake, just like your sexual thriller. Like it's all jokey and corporate and
Yeah. Commercialized.
yeah, it's just like yeah, and so it's like there's creepy stuff in kid stuff these days, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I'm not trying to sound all old millennial here to the Gen Zers, but
Yeah.
it's like, no, yeah, there's shit that was genuinely scary as hell to us.
Yeah. I think if they release the scary stories to tell in the dark books, like to kids nowadays, there's no way in hell those would be like given to like fifth graders.
Wasn't one story in that like there's like a lady down by a creek like washing clothes and then she sees it and then she gets cursed and the girl goes blind and she's like looking under the sink because there's like she's gonna die of thirst, something weird like that, and then she drinks like bleach or some shit and just, oh no, I drank bleach, and she just dies. I was like,
stories are crazy.
yeah, when I was little I was like, holy shit.
The one that always stuck with me real fast was Harold, like the one about the scarecrow, where they like these boys go work on a farm, or it's like away from everyone in the mountains and like to tend to sheep and whatever, and they make the scarecrow and just like make fun of it and mock it and stuff, and it comes alive and just basically like kills them both. But that was always like terrifying as fuck to me. And
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, go check out Harold. But anyway, yeah.
All right. But we're here for a reason. Let's hear your number 10.
All right, so number 10, I got Coco, the newest Pixar. Well, not that new, a few years ago new.
You're going a totally different direction.
My list is pretty random, so
all right. Coco.
I got Coco. Yeah, I just really liked it. I like the Day of the Dead stuff. I think it's really important in terms of culture to like, you know, I love that it honors like the Mexican heritage, and I thought it was done in a really nice way. And I really just love watching it. And it's like a fun take on Halloween. I love the Day of the Dead stuff, which is really awesome. And always like got the candies, the sugar skulls, and the different icons and different things and imagery that's used there. And yeah, I just really like that one. And I think it just not. I like pretty much all the Pixar's, but like every once in a while, there's one I'm just like, yeah, that was awesome, like kind of my style. And Coco was always a fun one, I thought, to watch. So
yeah, no, yeah, it's I like it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite Pixar movies. I liked the musical theme of it all, like pursuing music and you know, family and how that all relates. And
yeah,
good call on the Day of the Dead.
one
quick,
quick,
like crossover and the spirits and things of that nature.
Yeah, I got one other movie coming that's somewhat similar, but I did like also I love colors. A lot of my stuff is very colorful things that always attract me, and that movie is colorful as hell. So I
Yeah, it
think
is.
that's another thing I'll shout out for. I just love the colors and skeletons, so awesome.
No, yeah, the animation's great. I mean, of course, it's Pixar. They always do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who directed that?
I don't. Let me look it up. I think it might have been Pete Docter, who did some of the Toy Stories. But
Okay.
let me look for sure.
But yeah,
Oh, it's Lee Unkrich, who did he did Toy Story 3. He's
okay.
just one of the main Pixar directors.
Yeah. All right, cool. But yeah, the first time I saw that was working up in Seattle at Launch, the after school educational program I worked at as a teacher
Cool.
slash counselor, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And during our summer camps, which was all day, all day with 45 kids with maybe 2 or 3 teachers.
Yeah.
We're gonna have movie days every now and again. So
Yeah.
we watched Coco, and that was really nice. It was kind of great to watch kind of more directed at kid movies. I mean, Pixar's for the whole family, clearly, but it was good for me because I usually like R-rated fare, and I could actually sit with these kids and like see their interaction with it, and it really
Yeah.
enhanced the
That's
viewing.
awesome. That's very similar story real quick to me. So a few years ago, there's an event I always sell. I have a little cider company, so I sell apple ciders at the farmers markets and stuff. And I did this event for the fall. It's called Pumpkin Nights. It was like all October and just all this pumpkin stuff, and families would come in. But they had like all this, like the whole Coco exhibit, and then they showed the movie like every night too. So that was like right when it came out. So I kind of had like a fun personal connection to that as well. I was selling cider and apple cider donuts and stuff. So it was kind of fun. I felt like a Coco premiere or something. So
Yeah,
another reason I have fond memories of it. But
that's good. All right,
so,
my top 10.
Cool.
10 is Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, that's a great
It's,
choice.
I mean, kind of obvious pick because of the story, but in terms of Tim Burton, it's not my favorite Tim Burton, but it has I mean, come on. As far as a Halloween aesthetic and vibe,
It's awesome. I feel so stupid for not putting it on my list now. I knew there was a Tim Burton one. I'm like trying to think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like there's gonna be tons I miss maybe. And just that's one of my favorite Johnny Depp roles, his whole reasoning of
I like
playing
how
him
they
like
had
grossed out by blood. And
and they did like a whole science thing with him. I thought that was
Yeah.
really cool. So
Christina Ricci, just kind of like, what? Like, but she's pretty good in it.
yeah. Christopher Walken is the
Ah!
just terrifying. He's like shaved his teeth down, which is insane and terrifying. But
he's supposed to be like was it like a German
what do they
warrior?
call it?
I can't remember the term.
A German
that were like hired by the Redcoats in the Revolutionary War.
I gotta look that up now because it's such like an H, like
Hausen Frankenstein.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, but I don't know if there's really much to add to that film and why it's on the list, other than it really hits the vibe. Like, it's almost got like a black and white look to it, even though it's in color. And like speaking of colors and such, like the lack of color in it.
Yeah.
So when there is color, it really pops, and
especially the red, the blood.
And I remember when that trailer came out, and it was a very effective trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's creepy as hell. And what was cool about it is my parents are Mormon and stuff. And so in our household, there was, I don't know, but it's like Sleepy Hollow was so undeniable. It's like,
Yeah.
It's a bad movie, but it does look pretty cool.
I
Like,
love I love that time period too of like the early folktale, like American colonial times, and
I've
lots of,
warmed up to it.
lots of terrifying stuff. One fun fact about that movie is the guy who played Darth Maul. I think his name was Ray Park or something.
Yeah.
He was also Toad in X-Men, but I believe he was the Headless Horseman when it wasn't Christopher Walken. He's doing all the stunts and stuff. So
Oh,
as a
that
kid,
would
I
make
always thought,
sense.
yeah, as a kid, I always liked him. So I always like try to see when he was in stuff. He was like spinning the swords around and doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I
But it
remember
makes
they,
sense he'd play a guy without a head. He's kind of a short fella.
I remember they used the drill for. There's that one scene where they cut that guy's head and his head spins around. And they cut it on a drill. So
No, yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah, that's all I got. What's your 9?
yeah. So my number 9 is the Babadook.
That's on my list.
Great. I thought it would be a great movie. I saw it at Sundance when it premiered in 2014. I met the director. I watched it like 3 times at Sundance that year because I loved it so much. And the first time I watched it, it was in the Tower Theater here in Salt Lake. Great theater. It's actually built modeled after the Tower of London, so kind of spooky in itself. But the audience flipped watching the Babadook at the premiere. Like they were freaking out. It was so awesome. Probably one of the best experiences of a scary movie in a theater I've ever had. And with the director there in the audience, it was even better. But they were so scared of that movie, and it was so much fun. So
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about it. I'll reveal what number it is when we get to it. But
yeah,
this is definitely one of those new classics to me.
I think so. Yeah.
First time I saw it, I really liked the artfulness of its yeah, what would you call it? Like the little cutout dummy thing, or like whatever. It's like very practical.
It's one of my
it gets it
favorites.
across, and it's creepy.
I was just gonna say it's one of my favorite scary creatures or monsters in like any movie of all time. Like it's so basic, just a top hat and a cloak, but and, like the claws or whatever. But it's like so scary. I can't think of anything that scares me as much as that, and like how well they did it with a low budget. So it's really impressive to do. And like, you know, if you fans of Guillermo del Toro, he always talks about how hard it is to make like a real monster and make it scary. It takes a lot of effort to go into designing these creatures. And they just really nailed that one. And it kind of goes into Slender Man. Always reminds me of Slender Man, who I think is pretty scary as well. But
sure. Well, the thing is, the movie didn't really scare me. There's one moment of like kind of existential like dread where by the way, it's spoilers on every single one of these movies. So if that bothers you, just turn it off. But like it's near the end when she's finding out, oh, this Babadook is attached to my husband dying, and it's like her husband's voice, but it's in the darkness, and it's like this breathing thing that you can't really see.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like obvious, it's just this weird psychological / throbbing thing in the darkness that you can't see. And I thought that was really effective. But what I love about the movie is just, you know, the metaphor of just like this kid. Like there was a kid that would drive me up the wall at that job up in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I had showed all my friends the Babadook. So when I was talking about my day at work, when he was driving me crazy, I'd be like, the Babadook kid, man. It's like the Babadook today. And it's like, because that kid is like one of my favorite child roles in any movie ever.
I can't believe
just because he's so insufferable. Like he's just like, mommy, look at me, mommy. That's my impersonation. But he's like just on top of the fucking swing set and just like, what do you get the fuck down? Like, and then she just slowly losing it. And like, I was supposed to have a husband helping me with this shit. Just, oh, this kid's fucking, just give me a break. Yeah. She's like, starts taking her teeth out.
It's crazy.
She's like losing her teeth because of all this stress. And it's
that kind of goes back to what I said earlier about the normal stuff being scary, the teeth. It goes to Black Swan, when like one of the scariest things in Black Swan, she just like rips her fingernail off. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, but I love the themes of this, the Babadook, and like the ending is so good because they don't kill the monster or anything. They keep the monster alive, and it's a great metaphor of like trauma and all these things of like you
Sure.
have to deal with your monsters, deal with your demons, and you know, might not ever be able to slay those demons, but like manage them and feed them and you know, make friends with them, which I just really wild. Like I'm surprised that like I haven't really seen those like that ending or those themes like kind of used in that way before in a scary movie. Really cool.
And it has a little bit of Home Alone vibes.
Totally.
The kid
Yeah,
has all
yeah.
those little contraptions like
Yeah, I forgot about that
"Arr!"
part. I need to watch again. It's been a few years since I seen it, but
Oh yeah, so yeah, Babadook. What was the follow-up movie from that director?
oh, it was called like the Nightingale or something.
Nightingale, and
Yeah,
it's
I haven't
supposed to be
seen it
really
yet.
fucked up, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I really like her. She's a really cool director. She's probably doing a third movie now, but I need to go see that second one still. It's been on my
Yeah.
list to watch, but
She became one of these newer directors that is like, all right, I'm gonna keep tabs on whatever the new release is. And
yeah, yeah, she's awesome. This Australian director, Jennifer
mhm,
Kent, that's her name, but
right.
really
All
great.
right. But yeah, we only got so much time. We could
I know,
do
yeah.
this ain't Joe Rogan. We ain't got 3 hours.
All right, so your next number 9 for you, I think.
Oh yeah. Your nine is Babadook. So mine is An American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
Um, it's a really great blend of comedy and horror, body horror specifically. The practical effects. I mean, it's been talked about ad
Yeah,
nauseum how
yeah,
cool the wolf
yeah,
transformation
yeah.
scene is. But it really is that blend of like comedy and horror that a lot of people try, but I just don't feel like it really comes off as well in a lot of these movies. And in
Yeah,
this one, I feel like it's almost pitch perfect.
yeah,
And I just like that his friend who gets killed by the werewolf like comes back and talks to him. He's like, dude, you have to kill yourself. Like, you're gonna be a werewolf, and I don't get to be done being this undead thing unless you just end it.
yeah.
And that whole dynamic of, I don't know if that's a common thing with werewolf lore,
Yeah, I'm not sure if it
of
is.
like their victims are forced to like walk around undead until the werewolf is killed. Like, I don't think I'd ever heard of that. So
Yeah, I don't think that's common either, but
yeah. So and then yeah, gets all the sexy time with the nurse, and there's some just great Londoniness to it that
yeah,
it's not a thing I know a ton about. So it's like this cool little peek into a different
yeah.
culture. And um
Got the Warren Zevon song
it's
too.
yeah,
Werewolf in
well,
London.
yeah, it's like totally got that 80s buttering on top, which I love. 80s
Yeah,
vibe, especially in horror. So
yeah, yeah.
uh yeah.
That's one I haven't seen forever. I need to go check that out again. I think I saw it as a kid, but it's just one I don't remember. But what was I was gonna say? Oh, werewolves. Speaking of monsters and stuff, werewolves.
That's why it's on the Halloween list also. Werewolf.
Werewolves are like probably my favorite monster.
Mhm.
Vampires. People are so tired of vampires and zombies and stuff. I love werewolves. I don't think people have really done great werewolves in a long time. And anyway, I think they're scary as hell and
Can I
awesome.
tell you a quick
Yeah, yeah.
story? I mean,
Good.
we're yeah. This is gonna be a long episode, folks.
It's all good.
But
There's bound to
we'll be
happen.
quick.
We have 20 plus movies to talk about with
Yes.
us too. So
Uh, I was in a Shakespeare class that I took in high school, and trying to think of the succinct version of this. The movie Underworld had just come out,
okay.
and I was in
Yeah.
high school, and a bunch of people in my circle were into it because we were kind of the gothy skater metalhead kids in a Mormon high school. So yeah, like we're like, oh, vampires and werewolves like fighting each other, cool. I'm in, even if
Yeah.
it's kind of cheesy. And it was just coming off of the Matrix. It was like creepy Matrix
And
kind of
Kate
vibes.
Beckinsale too.
Yeah. And so there was this goth girl who shall remain nameless but she was dating a friend of mine, so I kind of had to be like nice to her, even though it wasn't really my type of person. But she'd engage me with conversation, and we're in the Shakespeare class together, and she's like, "So, Underworld, are you team vampire or are you team werewolf?" And I was like, werewolf. I mean, look, got a beard on. And then she takes a textbook and like nails me across the head, like fucking smacks me hard with it.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're having one of those like stinging, ringing feelings in your head, and you're like, well, this is a lady, so I can't hit her back. I'm pissed off. Like, what the fuck just happened? And then she just looks at me and goes, vampires, clearly. And I was like, man, fuck you, you gothy vampire mother. Like, I was just so I actually had a big beef with vampires for a while that I think stemmed from that traumatic event.
That's so funny.
Well, I've come around. I like vampires quite a bit if they're done well now.
Yeah.
But it was always team werewolf.
With the that's interesting because the underworld like vampires werewolf thing predates Twilight, so that was before Twilight.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like a lot of things have been said about Twilight of how terrible it is. To this day, the thing that I'm most pissed off about is the werewolves. He like transforms into a werewolf and he's just a fucking wolf.
The giant wolf.
Like, this isn't a wolf.
Hey, what was the name of that werewolf though?
He's like Jacob or someone.
Yeah, it's Jacob. See?
Yeah.
Team werewolf.
Yeah. But that's like the one clip I've seen of Twilight. I've never seen the whole thing. And he just transformed into a freaking wolf. And I was like, this is the bullshit werewolf that I've ever seen. Like, fuck this.
Well, yeah, and the vampire doesn't burst into ash when they're in the sun. They just, they sparkle.
But anyway, werewolves need some good movies. Justice to werewolves.
Well, and I always like to pronounce it werewolf.
Werewolf.
I love werewolves.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's I guess back to me for
number 8.
Number 8. So I got Bone Tomahawk on here, number 8. That is a Western movie.
Why is that Halloween?
I think it's just kind of the vibe of it. Like them like going off into a cave or whatever, trying to find this like save this girl or whatever, and then just the aspects of that are just really awesome. Like the way they do like the indigenous tribe. I've never seen anything like that before. I remember watching it with my little brother, and shout out to Anthony on
whoop.
But we were just like having such a fun time watching this. And just like every other minute it was like, holy fuck, like what is going on in this? And I like the idea of a Western horror, and something about it, just I don't know if it's the atmosphere, whatever, it just feels very Halloween-y to me, of just like kind of some of the themes we were talking about, uncertainty, them like going after something they have no idea what it is, so some of those things I kind of found there, but it's always one movie I always want to watch during Halloween, so for whatever reason. But
cool. I'm a pretty big fan of the Red Letter Media channel. Those guys do a lot of movie breakdowns and reviews and stuff like that, and they highly recommended Bone Tomahawk. I think they did even a review of it. So I have intended to see it. I haven't seen it myself though.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. I like it so much. I went and watched the other director's movies, and I hated his other movies, and I was pissed off because I was like, you did Bone Tomahawk. This other movie sucks. Like, I don't know. I want him to go make cool movies like Bone Tomahawk again. So I don't know if he died and has a twin who's now making shittier movies, or if some kind of something happened, but
sometimes these directors, and it goes other ways too, they do something amazing, and then you're like, all right, I mean, they're just gonna keep churning them out, and then you see the next thing and you're like, oh, like what clicked with the first thing? And sometimes it's the material, I guess maybe it's the crew they're working with,
the actors, the all kinds of different aspects, but I love Bone Tomahawk. Also one of my favorite westerns, which I had to put a western in here. It's a genre I like a lot, and
Hmm.
finding a way to have Halloween type horror western, it's that's my jam right there. So
All right. Well, that's an interesting choice. We're gonna do my 8, and then we're gonna take a quick little break
okay,
because
sweet.
I want a little more coffee. It
Okay.
feels fitting for this conversation, and also I gotta pee like you wouldn't believe.
Sounds good. And
I was working on. I was having a conversation with a friend earlier. Then I started working on a painting, and then hopped into this
okay,
podcast. So I've been like, putting back the water in the coffee.
nice. Sounds good.
So yeah, well, I'll show you the transition thing that we do in a moment here. But
Okay, perfect.
my number 8 is Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola one
Okay,
with
awesome.
Gary Oldman and all that.
Yeah,
Like,
that has an appearance on my list coming up.
nice. With me, I mean, it's Gary Oldman. I love him in so many things. I think he kills it in this role.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, on the other hand, are fun to watch.
This is
I will say that it is very fun.
this is
And
pretty.
I'll just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that first time I saw this movie, I was like, this is stupid. And turned it off. And I was like pretty young. It was like kind of around the time it first came out. Like, because I didn't understand like what they were doing, where there's all these homages to old cinema and
Yeah,
like camera tricks. Like, they pulled out all the stops of all these different little camera tricks. Like,
yeah, yeah,
they had the little silhouette background of the forest and goes red, and then his eyeball appears in the sky watching them.
yeah. Very
And when
cool.
I was younger, I was like, I want realistic. I want Godzilla 1997. I want, like, I just want it to like CGI it and make it look real to me, like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and just attack me. And there's cool like action music. Like,
Matthew
the
Broderick,
artfulness
yeah,
hadn't quite kicked
Dracula.
in yet. If it was artful, it was like my cartoons.
Right,
The
yeah, yeah.
blending of the two didn't quite happen until I watched so many films that I was like, oh, holy shit. It
Yeah, that's
took
what,
this to make that and that to do this. So the style of the whole thing, the music,
yeah,
Anthony
great music.
Hopkins,
Yeah, yeah.
just
Tom
awesome.
Waits.
Tom Waits, yeah.
Yeah. There's probably a whole other conversation to be had of this, but kind of fascinating point you brought up about when you're a kid versus when you're adult, like when does that switch where you're like, oh, now this is just awesome. Yeah, I always think about Seinfeld.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be Simpsons and Seinfeld, and there was like a period where I loved the Simpsons. I'm like, I don't understand Seinfeld. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I wouldn't be that excited about the Simpsons. I'd be like waiting for Seinfeld to come on. But it's very interesting, that thing aspect you brought up. Real
Yeah.
quick too about this specific Dracula. Definitely is on my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie me and my brother Anthony love to watch too. It's probably our favorite movie of Halloween. We usually like to watch it on Halloween if we can.
Mm-hmm.
We like to joke that if we don't watch it, Halloween's not over until we watch this. So, well, a
Okay.
few years ago, we forgot to watch it, and it was like 8 months later, and we are just still joking it was still Halloween because we didn't watch this yet. So it was a long Halloween. So
Yes.
I love this movie. Famously, one of Keanu Reeves' probably worst performances of all time,
Yeah.
but
A little
somehow
bit.
it's become endearing, and he's still awesome in it. And my little brother would just come up to me and yell like blue infernos and things, and
Yeah.
and always laughing. But yeah,
Keanu Reeves kind of did that to his whole career.
yeah,
He just
yeah,
made all of it works now.
yeah. It's just
Whatever
perfect.
he did,
Yeah,
like, maybe they just found out he was an awesome guy. So it's
yeah,
like, yeah, I like this guy.
yeah. He
Fuck
is.
it, be terrible in that one.
He's like terrible in a way that it's like I still love watching him be in this movie. And then like you said, Gary Oldman is just kills it. One of his best movies of all time. I think his acting in this
Mhm.
is so good. The
Yeah.
sets and costumes are incredible. Like it just feels so old and kind of creepy. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, Anthony Hopkins is Van Helsing, fantastic, and really such a great movie. I feel like it did get a lot of flack, I think, but it's somehow become kind of a favorite cult classic that's just really great. So
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because people talk about it a lot, and once again, this is maybe a conversation for a different episode or something. But Francis Ford Coppola just had like these amazing films, and then there's just, as far as critics go and most people, there was this decline. And I'm like, man, I wonder if he had gotten more love for Dracula and people had
Yeah.
appreciated what it was, like would he have kind of kept at it and done more stuff? Or because wasn't like one of the last things he did um Jack with like Robin Williams or something? Like it was
Yeah,
like,
and he's done a few smaller films,
and
and
I
he
was
has,
just kind of like, huh, like that's not
yeah.
what I think of when I think Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah,
But
there was an article about him just recently where he's been talking about just like he just got blacklisted and he couldn't get anything funded, which is really sad because like
yeah,
I think Coppola is one of the greatest directors of all time, one of
yeah.
the greatest living directors. And to me, it's like just throw money at the guy. Like, I mean, he did Apocalypse Now, The Godfathers. It's just insane the movies he's done. And I hope he still comes back and makes more movies. And it's just weird, like how one of the greatest directors, and Scorsese has problems with this too. Like these guys just can't get things funded, and it's like get the Coppola fund, get the Scorsese fund. Let's have like fund them like PBS or something, and just like
Well,
get these guys to make movies. But
and
yeah,
once again, maybe it's another long conversation, but I will say that that's one thing I've never understood about the Hollywood machine is that they
yeah,
always get into these little fads and trends. And then, if you take a step back and look at it as a business, it makes some sense to say, well, if we're spending 400 million on this thing, we're putting all hands on deck with advertising and
yeah,
making sure it appeals to a broad audience, all the stuff, like we're gonna scrutinize what you're doing behind the camera. And I can appreciate and understand that a Marvel movie is like a different beast.
totally,
But it's like there's a couple things, it's like, okay, what about this movie that people kind of liked or almost wanted to like, that you hear people talking about all the time,
yeah,
but actually remake it? Like, why not remake the movies that didn't quite pull off what they were going for, or
yeah,
like
yeah,
introduce something interesting but it wasn't a very good movie? Remake that stuff instead of doing like a sixth Scream movie or Halloween movie or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
because people get inherently annoyed with the new Halloween movie. It's like, hey, I'll go see it because I'm a fan of the movies, but every time you do that, it's diminishing returns.
yeah,
um so it's like, why not say, hey, Francis Ford Coppola, an amazing director, you know, we kept giving you big budgets for certain things and it would flop, and that's not really your fault or whatever. They just flop, but we're
hmm,
going to always fund you. How about what can you do for 20 million
exactly, yeah,
or like whatever? Like, and that might reinvigorate some of these guys to like
yeah,
have to work with a smaller budget. I think that even got asked to Christopher Nolan recently.
right,
I don't
yeah,
know what
oh,
he answered, but somebody asked him,
yeah,
like,
I
would
saw
you
that
work
too.
with a
I
smaller
haven't seen,
budget
yeah,
again? And it's
and
like, well, yeah, why aren't they doing that
yeah.
with these directors that obviously have made incredible films and classics? Like, keep them creating stuff if they want to. I
Yeah,
understand reducing the amount of money, maybe, but
yeah.
yeah,
Or finding a way to like use some of this Marvel money and bajillion dollars to like go back into smaller films too, to like help support different things on
yeah,
different levels. But I think there's a huge disconnect with a lot of these executives because they're not filmmakers. They just run these studios and have all the money, but they think they know what audiences want to see. I don't think they really know. I think everyone, audience want to see Scorsese films and Coppola films and things like this. They want to
yeah.
see new and interesting movies and the best directors making movies and whoever they are.
And I think more and more people don't give a shit about giant CGI battles that take up 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I think it's kind of boring. And
It's getting there.
yeah, one movie we got to shout out that should have got funded, that especially for today's topic, is Guillermo's At the Mountains of Madness. Like
Yeah.
it's insane to me that that did not get funded with um, uh, what's his face, producing it.
Tom Cruise.
Well, Tom Cruise was going to star in it, and then James Cameron was producing it, and it's like that seems like it should have been funded and made.
Yeah,
and
I don't get it, man.
I don't get it either. It's very frustrating, and I feel like that movie, the whole world would want to see that.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I respect these new companies coming up, A24 and the Blumhouse, even though they can definitely put out stuff that I'm like, I don't know, whatever. They seem to have a little more respect for these auteurs and make something weird and we'll give you this much money because we know we can make it back.
It's great with technology now because you can make a movie for fairly cheaper than you ever could before, and even Netflix is doing great stuff like funding Scorsese's newest movies, the Irishman, and then the that new one I just forgot the name of, but these directors should be getting funded. So anywho,
cool. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna go use the restroom and grab some more coffee. Good. So you ready for how we do our transitions?
Yeah. It's fine. Wayne's World. Very nice.
Yep. All right. Be right back. I'm going to keep. Thank you for listening to the Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fakoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in.